Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. It's Future Nurse D here. I just wanted to make a video about time management. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So let's just jump into it. So just to give you a brief overview of my experience with the first semester. This is time management, by the way, for time management for your first semester of nursing school. You're going in fresh, you don't know what to expect, and neither did I, frankly. But I'm just giving you some of the tips that you can use for time management, because when you first get in there, you're going to be overwhelmed. It's going to seem overwhelming. It's just going to blow your mind, but you will eventually get used to it, I promise. So first off, if you can get your hands on the syllabus prior to class starting, which contains a schedule of all the assignments that are done, that would be ideal. But we don't live in a perfect world. For me, however, my experience was that they posted the syllabus on DocuShare, which some schools use. And DocuShare can be accessed through the school's website, and some teachers just let their DocuShare be accessible by anyone, any student. So kind of check out your school's website wherever you're attending school to see if the syllabus, if they have DocuShare or something like DocuShare where teachers post their documents that they use for classes. So yeah, check that out. See if the syllabus is accessible, and if it is, great. You can get started early. I know some of you are anxious and kind of wondering what it is that you can do to prepare for your first semester. Is there anything that you can get a head start on? For starters, my program, which is an associate's degree program, nursing program, had total 2 papers due the first semester, and I believe about 8 nursing care plans due the whole semester. 4 for the first class, 4 for the second class. So 2 papers that were APA format. So if you want to do something prior to starting nursing school, that will help you get a head start on things. Get familiar with the APA format. I was not that familiar with it. I was in the psychology major at my local university and decided to switch over, and psychology does use APA heavily, but I was more familiar with MLA. So get familiar with your APA format, because that will be a great thing to know when you enter this program. So there were 2 papers. The syllabus lets you know what was expected in those papers and what they were supposed to be on. So you can get a head start on that, kind of pick your topic, and know what you're going to write about. Even gather the research that you're going to be utilizing when you discuss your paper. Save it in a file on your computer and access it at a later time when you're ready to write your paper. But just keep in mind and know your due dates for the papers and the nursing care plans. So before I even discuss the papers and the nursing care plans, let's talk planners. I'm sure it's all been drilled into you by other videos or anything that you've possibly been researching to know what it is that you need to be doing to prepare for nursing school, and the number one thing is to get a planner. That is true. You want to get a planner, and you want to write down your due dates when you get that syllabus and the scheduled assignments and their due dates. Write them all down. Even plan out the days that you're going to be studying. And right now, before you start, that's probably hard to gauge, but do your best. Do an estimate. In the beginning, nursing care plans are pretty time-consuming because you don't know what you're doing. You're not really sure where you need to be looking. So give yourself ample time in the beginning for the nursing care plans. Later on, they will become, just depending on what patient you pick to do your nursing care plan on, or what patient you're assigned to do your nursing care plan on. It may be complicated, it may be less complicated. And that also depends on the medications, how many medications, the types of medications that your patient has been ordered to have by the physician. Nursing care plans include that as well. And if your program is anything like mine, medications are time consuming because you have to list each one, what they do in the body, the therapeutic actions, the side effects, what the implications are for you as the nurse, what you need to be watching for. So you have to do that for each of the meds. So if you have 20 meds, your patient has 20 meds or more that they need to be taking, that's going to take up a lot of your time. And for me, that was the part that took up a lot of my time. So when it comes to nursing care plans, do your meds ahead of time. It's a no-brainer. You can find the information on the internet for each medication, side effects and all, and implications. And you can be doing that while you're watching TV. You can be doing that while you're spending time with friends. Just be aware of what you're writing, and then go over it later and kind of think about your patient and connect the dots. When you were giving care to your patient, how did this med affect them? Why were they taking this med? And kind of connect it to the condition that they were there for. So for nursing care plans, that's a time management tip. Do your meds first, and the rest can kind of flow a little bit more smoother. You can concentrate on the rest, which is your priority diagnoses. You'll find out what that is, but priority diagnoses depend on your ABCs, which is airway, breathing, and circulation. So whichever of those come first, it's going to be your priority. So look at your patient's condition and see if they had anything that affected their airway, their breathing, or their circulation. My dog just walks in whenever she wants. And then Maslow's hierarchy, but you'll understand that later. But if you want to get a head start on the semester, kind of look that up. Your ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation, and Maslow's hierarchy. Because you're going to provide care based on those things. ABCs first, Maslow's hierarchy second. So basically get a head start on things and kind of tailor your day to what's due. I had one project due. We had to go to a dining hall for homeless people, obviously, and we had to give a presentation on a condition that affects their population. So for us, my project with my group, which was 2 other people, was on hypothermia. And so we also had giveaways. We had given away hats and scarves for them. And we worked on that project in 1 day. So we worked on it ahead of time. So you know when it's due. So just work on things. Give yourself ample time to complete. As for your kids and your family life, if you don't have kids, you don't have to completely distance yourself from people, although it's kind of hard in the first portion of the nursing program because you want to get situated and acclimated to how the program goes. They're going to have to understand that you are in the nursing program. They really need, that's priority. They need to understand that. But also to go along with that, you don't have to totally distance yourself from anybody or not have the time that you need for yourself and for other people. Of course, you're going to have to probably turn down little gatherings like, family outings or, get-togethers every now and then because you need to get this nursing care plan done or some other paper. The good thing is you'll have like a week in between when you really need to start working on something and when it's due. So you just kind of have to tailor your time between that. Like split up your time down to each hour of each day. From 1 to 2, you'll be working on this, or you'll be studying these chapters, or whatever it is. You really have to break down your days and know. Black out those weekends when you know you will be studying so that you won't plan anything around that. Any family gatherings, plan for the days right after. Any family gatherings or any friendship gatherings or any time hanging out with friends, plan that directly after an exam. That's worked for me. That way you can get that quality time in and you can give yourself time to breathe and to decompress after an exam or a major paper was due, because you've been working your butt off. And self-care, always program that in. Always schedule that in. It's doable to have time for yourself, kids, family, and friends. So with my ADN 1 class, there was more thrown at you in a smaller amount of time for some reason. And ADN 2, things were more spread out, and we were able to handle that. Time management just became more manageable to us, and that also may have been because, I don't know if you heard about it in the news, but in Paradise, California, there was a fire, and a large fire, and the smoke trickled down to where I live and even down to the area where I go to school at. And so it just looked like constant fog, and the smoke was heavy down here. And so our school closed twice. Once during Thanksgiving vacation, so we had the whole week off, and then the day after, one day after Thanksgiving vacation was over, and then when Trump ordered the day of mourning, we were off as well. So that kind of set us back, but not really, because those days were clinical days. We still had our hours that we had to be safe, and we didn't have to go to the clinical session, but that gave us extra time to work on a few things in the second part of the semester. So that was a blessing, but not really. But it was a blessing to have that time. So yes, with time management, a planner is number one. Planning out your study dates down to the hours and the days that you will be working on your projects, papers, and nursing care plans down to the hour. Write it all down, and you can kind of gauge when you're in the program what it is that you need to work on. But always with nursing care plans, I would suggest that you get those meds over with first thing. Like, even when you come home from clinical that day, after you have your patient, work on those meds. And maybe even write down the priority and the secondary nursing diagnoses that same day. Like, I think I got my nursing care plans done in the second portion, the second class, the second half of the semester, right when I got home. Like, it only took me 2 days to do it, but the first semester was more complicated because you're still trying to figure things out of what you need to say, the nursing abbreviations you need to use in your nursing notes, and everything like that. So if you want to get a head start, kind of research what a nursing care plan is, look at nursing abbreviations, look at the ABCs and Maslow's hierarchy, and maybe even look up 50 of the most used meds. I know Pinterest has a list, so maybe go there and kind of look them up, maybe save them. Another thing is you may or may not have med cards that need to be made, and you'll need those when you start to pass medications, when you give medications to your patients. For us, we had to have med cards, and they gave us a list when we first started, but it wasn't an all-inclusive list. These were like the most popular that our school is familiar with. And as it turns out, for the first patient I passed meds on, you also need to know their medications because you need to educate them when you're giving them the meds. So I had to look in the MAR, the medication administration record, for them and see what meds they were given or ordered to have. And the cards I had, there wasn't very much that I had that patient had, so I had to make those cards, those extra cards for that patient. So you want to have as many medication cards as you can. Not sure if your program will be utilizing that or not, but that is another thing you can get a head start on. As many medication cards as you can so that you're ready when you do give that medication to the patient when that time comes. You'll have as many cards as possible and will need to make as little as possible. For me, if you didn't have that med card by the time the instructor came around to watch you pass meds, then she would pass the med, and basically that kind of looked bad on you because you weren't ready. So hopefully that's kind of clear. If you don't understand that, just wait until the first semester starts and it'll become more clearer. Just come back to this video and kind of take my advice on that. I didn't do well on my first med pass because of that, but my second one, I just really killed that one. So yeah, being prepared is key. Time management is key. You will eventually find your own pace and your own flow in the program, but these are just things that I see that helped me with my time management. Having kids and family and friends to tend to, I wasn't ready to just totally not be there. I definitely have been MIA a lot when it comes time to study and it's a weekend before an exam. Yeah, I've been locked in this room at my desk studying my butt off and took short breaks to go and go downstairs and see my kids. Friends, you really have to schedule that time in. Maybe schedule it right after a clinical day or the day that you have that's before a weekend, or where you get your little tiny break. So yeah, you just have to work it and it eventually will come to you. But definitely get a head start on things where you can, and break big things down into smaller parts and work the smaller parts first. Like I just mentioned about the meds that have to go with a nursing care plan. Those are the no-brainer parts. They're meds, you can copy the information. So basically do that first and break it down into smaller parts until you complete and have a finished product. And for the paper, start researching your subjects. What it is that you want to talk about in your paper. Save those documents and those resources in a file on your computer, ready for access. Even start writing the introduction if you must, or getting familiar with how to do the reference page. Those are all little tiny steps that you can do to help you in the big scheme of things when it comes time for that item to be due. Another thing that you could do to kind of get ready for the program is to study medical dosage calculations. Dosage calculations, basically. You'll be utilizing this formula or specific way to figure out how much of the medication to give. So look that up as well, and that may be something that you need to kind of schedule into your study time, because you will have these exams based on the dosage calculations, and it is an important part of nursing. Obviously, you want to know the correct amount of medication to give to your patient. So if you want to get a head start on something else before the program starts, maybe look up some dosage calculation videos as well. And I also plan to do another video on that too, hopefully soon, to kind of help you with it. I did fail my first one. Why? Because I let anxiety get to me, and I was so focused on the people around me finishing before I did that I just panicked and started because I couldn't figure out things. My mind went blank. And so I took it again, and of course I passed it. But I just really had a hard time with questioning myself and second-guessing myself, basically, and not believing in my answers. So that was something I struggled with. So throughout this whole channel, you'll find that I am not perfect, and I do not pretend to be with nursing, but I'm just working on it and doing the best that I can, and trying to give you guys information before you start to try to help you out so you can do the best that you can around. Anyway, I wish you much success. I wish you much success this semester, and hopefully these tips have helped you. If there's any other tips that anyone else has that's currently in the nursing program, or just you're great at time management, put it down in the comments below. And if there are any other videos that you would like to see, put it down in the comments below too. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Please subscribe if you like this video, and if you don't, then don't. Bye.